The fallen angels, the watchers, once glorious and powerful, now writhe in despair. Cast out of heaven, they cried for mercy. But what happened next was beyond imagination. They pleaded, they begged, and even sent a messenger to God himself. Yet the divine response was something they could never have foreseen. This is a mystery buried for ages, a judgment so final, so terrifying, that even demons tremble at its memory. Stay with me as we uncover this shocking truth and what it means for all of us. Before we begin, welcome to Bible Stories. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share so more people can discover these forgotten biblical mysteries. In the days before the Great Flood, when the world was still young, a forbidden act was committed, one that would alter the course of history forever. 200 mighty angels, known as the Watchers, descended upon Mount Hermon. Led by Shemhaza and Azazel, they abandoned their divine station and entered the realm of men. But they did not come merely to observe. Their desire was far greater, to rule, to corrupt, and to seize what was never meant for them. Genesis 6:1-4 recounts, "And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose." This unholy union gave rise to a new race, the Nephilim, giants of unimaginable strength and wickedness. They spread terror across the earth, consuming its resources, oppressing humanity, and leaving ruin in their wake. But their corruption did not end there. The fallen angels taught mankind forbidden knowledge, sorcery, the art of war, astrology, and the dark mysteries of the unseen, secrets never meant to be in human hands. The Book of Enoch, chapter 8:1-2 describes, "And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. The world spiraled into chaos. Violence, bloodshed, and sin spread like a plague, defiling the very creation of God." What began as an act of rebellion soon became a war against the divine order itself. The cries of the innocent rose to the heavens. The earth, once pure, was now stained with blood. The sins of the fallen angels and their offspring, the Nephilim, had reached their limit. Humanity had become enslaved to corruption, and the Most High would not stand idly by. The great archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, looked upon the world with sorrow and righteous fury. They witnessed the suffering of mankind, the violence, the destruction, and they carried the pleas of the oppressed before the throne of God. The Book of Enoch 9:1-3 records, "And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven, and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said one to another, The earth made without inhabitant cries, the voice of their cries up to the gates of heaven. And now to you, O Holy One of heaven, the souls of men make their suit, saying, Bring our cause before the Most High." In his divine justice, God issued his decree. The reign of the Watchers and their monstrous children had come to an end. Their corruption would no longer be suffered, and their dominion over the earth would be shattered forever. The Book of Enoch 10:9-12 declares, "And to Gabriel said the Lord, Proceed against the bastards and the reprobates and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of the Watchers from amongst men. Send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. And when their fathers have been bound in the depths of the earth, they shall be destroyed after many generations, and no request for mercy shall be granted unto them." The decree was final. The Nephilim, the giants who had once ruled the earth, would be forced to turn on one another. Their own power would be their undoing. War would consume them, and their monstrous reign would collapse in blood and ruin. Genesis 6:5-7 states, "And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, for it repenteth me that I have made them." A flood was coming, a divine reckoning to cleanse the world of its corruption. The sins of the Watchers, the Nephilim, and the fallen world would be washed away. But even in judgment, there was mercy. Not all would perish. One man, righteous and faithful, found favor in the eyes of the Lord. His name was Noah. Genesis 6:8-9 recounts, "But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. To him God gave a command, a mission of survival: build an ark, a vessel of salvation, for him and his family. Through Noah, humanity would be given a new beginning. But for the watchers, there was no redemption." Jude 1:6 declares, "And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness, unto the judgment of the great day." Their fate was sealed. The fallen angels, the watchers who had defiled the earth, would face a fate worse than death. They would be imprisoned, bound in chains, cast into the abyss, awaiting the final judgment where their punishment would be eternal. But the watchers were not ready to accept their fate. In desperation, they begged for forgiveness. The watchers, once mighty and revered, now trembled in despair, bound by the weight of their rebellion. They faced a punishment unlike any they had ever known. The decree of the Most High had been spoken. They were to be cast into the abyss, held in chains until the final judgment. But in their desperation, they refused to accept their fate. If only they could plead their case. If only they could beg for mercy. If only someone could stand before God on their behalf. And so, they turned to one man, Enoch. The book of Enoch 13:3-4 recounts, "Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they asked me to write out for them a petition that they might find forgiveness, and to take the petition to the Lord in heaven." Enoch, a man chosen by God, was no ordinary human. He had walked with the Lord, and he had been given knowledge beyond that of any man. Now he was given a task unlike any other, to act as a mediator between heaven and the fallen. The watchers, these once glorious beings, humbled themselves before a mortal. They pleaded, they begged, they wept. Their voices, once filled with power and command, now shook with terror. The book of Enoch 13:5 states, "For they could no longer speak with him, nor lift up their eyes to heaven for shame of their sin for which they had been condemned." Enoch, filled with dread, yet bound by duty, accepted their request. He took their petition and began his journey, one that would take him beyond the limits of the earth, beyond the stars, into the very throne room of the Almighty. Through the cosmic realms, Enoch ascended, passing through the heavens, each more glorious and terrifying than the last. He beheld wonders that no human had ever seen, great fiery walls, celestial beings beyond comprehension, the very fabric of creation itself. The book of Enoch 14:8-10 describes, "And the vision was shown to me thus: Behold, in the clouds, a great house built of white marble, and the walls of it were like mosaics of hailstones, and its floor was of crystal, and its ceiling was like the path of the stars, and the lightnings flashed in between them. And in the midst of the house there sat a great glory, wrapped in flames of fire." Enoch trembled before the majesty of God. The light was blinding, the presence overwhelming. This was not a place for the fallen. This was not a place for the guilty. Would the watchers' pleas be heard? Would God, in his infinite mercy, grant them forgiveness? Or was their sin too great? Enoch stood before the great glory, his mortal frame trembling beneath the overwhelming presence of the Almighty. He had carried the pleas of the fallen angels, their desperate cries for mercy, but as he waited for a response, the heavens grew silent. Then, from the throne of God, a voice thundered, a decree that would shake the very foundations of the cosmos. The book of Enoch 14:3-4 declares, "You have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you, and you knew, worthless ones, and in the hardness of your hearts you have made this known to the women, and through these mysteries women and men work much evil on earth." The answer was final. No mercy, no second chances, no redemption. The fallen angels had sealed their fate the moment they chose to rebel. The book of Enoch 14:5 states, "Therefore you shall have no peace." God's judgment was clear. While humans were created with redemption in mind, angels were not. Unlike mankind, who could repent and be forgiven, the watchers had once stood in the full glory of heaven. They had seen the face of God. They had known his power, his holiness. And yet, they still chose to rebel. The book of Enoch 15:2-3 recounts, "And he answered and said to me, Fear not, Enoch, you righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Go, Say to the watchers of heaven who have sent you to intercede for them, you should intercede for men, and not men for you. Wherefore have you left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken wives unto yourselves, and done like the children of the earth? God reminded them of their place. They were not meant to be like men. They were created as celestial beings, with wisdom and strength far beyond that of humanity. But they had abandoned their divine state, choosing lust, power, and corruption over obedience. The book of Enoch 15:6-7 declares, "But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life and immortal for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you. For as for the spiritual ones of the heaven, in heaven is their dwelling." This was the ultimate betrayal. The angels had been given a role far above that of man, yet they desired the pleasures of the flesh. They sought to rule instead of serve, to corrupt instead of uphold righteousness. And now they would suffer eternally. Hebrews 2:16 reminds us, "For surely it is not angels he helps, but Abraham's descendants." Unlike fallen humanity, who could be redeemed through faith, the watchers had no such hope. Their judgment was final, their punishment irreversible. They had forfeited their place in heaven, and now they would reap the consequences of their rebellion. The book of Enoch 15:9-10 states, "And now the giants who are born from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, because they are born from men and from the holy watchers. Their beginning and primal origin, they shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called." Even their own children, the Nephilim, would not find rest. Their spirits, cursed and restless, would remain on the earth as demons, tormenting mankind until the final judgment. With the decree given, Enoch was dismissed. The gates of heaven closed behind him, and he descended back to the earth. He returned to the watchers, carrying the answer they feared the most. There would be no peace, no forgiveness, no redemption. The watchers had fallen, and they would remain fallen for all eternity. The heavens had spoken. The fate of the fallen angels was sealed. Their pleas for mercy had been met with silence, and their judgment had been declared. Now they would face the full weight of their punishment. But where does one imprison celestial beings? Where could these once mighty watchers be held so that they would never again corrupt the earth? God had prepared a place for them, a realm of despair, a prison beyond imagination, hidden deep beneath creation itself. This part of the story seems to carry a weight of inevitability, almost like a cosmic balance being restored. It's fascinating, yet heavy, especially when considering the scale of the Watchers' rebellion and the irreversible nature of their punishment. I bet this would be a powerful section in a YouTube script, especially when illustrating the impact of their actions on the world. How do you feel about weaving in some visual elements to highlight this sense of finality and cosmic justice? The book of Enoch 18:14-16 describes, "And I saw a deep abyss with columns of heavenly fire, and among them I saw places of darkness. And on that day my angel said, This place is prepared for those who have been cursed forever." This abyss, this unholy prison, was no ordinary pit. It was a place of torment and utter desolation, a realm where even light could not escape. The fallen angels, once glorious and free, were now bound in darkness, chained by divine decree. 2 Peter 2:4 declares, "For if God did not spare the angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell, and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment." This place, called Tartarus, was a prison unlike any other. The chains that bound the watchers were not made of earthly metal, but forged by the very power of God. Their cries for mercy echoed through the abyss, but no answer would come. But for Azazel, the punishment was even more severe. The book of Enoch 10:4-6 states, "And again the Lord said to Raphael, Bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert which is in Dudael, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever." Azazel, the corrupter of men, the one who taught the forbidden arts and led humanity into destruction, was cast into the wilderness, a forsaken land where he would be buried beneath jagged rocks. No light would reach him, no voice would call his name. He would remain there, alone in the darkness, until the final judgment. This section really intensifies the gravity of Azazel's fall and the severity of the Watcher's fate. It's dark, but also a powerful visual to highlight the consequences of their rebellion. The idea of being trapped in eternal darkness, bound by the very force that created the universe, is both haunting and final. What are your thoughts on incorporating a darker, more atmospheric tone for these parts in the video to reflect this? The Book of Enoch 21:1-3 recounts, "And I saw a desolate place, and there I saw 7 stars of heaven bound together in it, like great mountains and burning with fire. Then I said, For what sin are they bound, and why have they been cast here? Then Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered and said, These are the watchers who have transgressed the command of the Most High, and they are bound here until the end of days." The watchers had once walked in the courts of heaven. They had once beheld the glory of God, but now they were nothing more than prisoners, condemned for eternity. Revelation 20:10 declares, "And the devil who had deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet were, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever." This was not just a punishment. It was a warning to all creation, to those who might dare to rise against the Almighty, to those who might believe they could defy the will of God. The watchers had learned this lesson too late. Their cries had faded into the abyss, and their names had become a curse. But their influence, their corruption, did not end there. The abyss was only the beginning. The watchers had been cast into darkness, bound in chains, imprisoned beneath the earth. But their punishment was not yet complete. The final judgment was still to come. From the beginning, their fate had been sealed. They had chosen rebellion, and now the sentence that awaited them was one of eternal fire. Matthew 25:41 declares, "Then he will say to those on his left, Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels." The imagery here becomes even more intense with the eternal fire awaiting them. It's powerful, not only as a punishment, but also as a grim warning. It could be fascinating to show the stark contrast between the watchers' once glorious state and their now irreversible downfall. It would also help convey the gravity of their rebellion, emphasizing the finality of their fate. What's your take on the visual portrayal of this shift? A day will come when the prison of the fallen angels will be emptied, not for redemption, but for destruction. On that day, they will be cast into the lake of fire, joining the devil and his followers in a torment that will never end. Revelation 20:10 states, "And the devil who had deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet were, and they will be tormented day and night, forever and ever." This is the final judgment, the ultimate end for those who defied the Most High. The fallen angels, once powerful and glorious, will suffer the full weight of divine justice. Their cries will go unheard. Their names will be forgotten. Their legacy will be one of ruin. But what about us? What does their story mean for humanity today? The watchers fell because of pride. They fell because they rejected God's authority, choosing instead to follow their own desires. And for that, they lost everything. Proverbs 16:18 warns, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." If even the mighty angels could not escape judgment, what does that mean for us? How should we live in light of their fate? The story of the fallen angels is more than just an ancient tale. It's a warning against rebellion, a warning against corruption, a warning against turning away from God's path. So I ask you, if God did not spare the angels who sinned, how should we live today? What do you think? Should God have given them another chance, or was their punishment just? Let's discuss in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into biblical mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video. Until next time, stay strong in faith, seek wisdom, and remember, some mysteries are meant to warn, not to be repeated. Thanks for watching. This ending maintains the deep reflection, encouraging the audience to engage with the topic on a personal level. Let me know if it aligns with your vision, or if you'd like any changes.